Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the official podcast of the Brock Press, where we take you beyond the headlines and do a deep dive into some of the many interesting articles written by our team this week. My name is Noah Nickel. I'm editor-in-chief of the Brock Press and host of The Latest. Today I'm joined, as always, by Holly Morrison, our managing editor, and one of our arts and entertainment editors, Asenia Lyall. How are you both doing today?
I'm good. I'm sleepy, but I'm good.
I'm doing good. I was just shoveling the driveway, so feeling energized.
Very fun.
I was going to say we're all probably a little tired from dealing with snow. Regardless, it is a busy, tiring time when there's lots of snow. It takes forever to do anything, forever to get anywhere, so we're all just still feeling a little slower, but no one's sick, so, there's always winds, and it does look nice. It's not that gross. In a week from now, this snow will be really getting old and it'll be all brown and gross on the side of the road. But for now, it's still very pretty and white, so it looks good. But anyways, first snowfall of the year, always nice, always good. And, with that, we're still cooped up inside. So we have another home edition of the podcast with some great articles to talk about, some great people to talk about it with. So with that, we will get right into it.
So for one of my opinions this week, I wrote about it's like the latest online game trend craze. People who know what it is will know what I'm talking about immediately. People who don't are going to be super confused. But I wrote about Wordle and how it's just good and fun, and how I'm normally kind of cynical, a little bit grumpy, don't really care about online trends, but I really enjoyed it. And what I also enjoyed about it was not just the game itself, which is a very fun little word game, but the fun that is just jumping on a trend bandwagon and just having fun, and how, even if you're cynical and a little grumpy like me sometimes, give it a shot. It's cool. It's fun. Posting those little squares on Twitter it's just a nice part of my day. So I guess I just wanted to ask both of you, have either of you played Wordle? Do you know what I'm talking about?
So I haven't played it, but I have seen the little squares on your Twitter and on a bunch of other people's Twitters. And I was like, this seems like something I would like. And I assumed it was something you could download, at the App Store. And then I couldn't find it, and then I just gave up. And then your article came out, and I was like, now I know what Wordle is.
Yeah, I think part of the beauty of Wordle is that it's not an app, and there are no ads on the website. It's I think from my understanding of the story is it's a game that a guy made up for his wife because she wanted to do a word puzzle every day, and then he just put it on the internet for everyone else. So there's no official app or anything. It's just one puzzle every day, and you go to the website.
That's so cute. Also, that story.
Yeah, everything about it just seems very wholesome. So I enjoy it.
I used to do the New York Times mini crossword puzzle every day, but you have to pay for a subscription, so I stopped doing that.
Wordle is free.
I'm going to get on that then.
There we go.
Fun.
What about you, Noah? Have you played Wordle?
No, and I was very confused about it for a while, too. I thought you could play the game on Twitter.
No, that's because everyone tweets their results, I guess, but it's totally separate.
I'm really glad you explained it, because I thought it was some type of I thought I was an idiot because I thought it was some type of cryptic message I was supposed to figure out on Twitter by people sharing that. So that always made me angry about it because I'd see it and I was like, I don't understand this. I get that it says Wordle in it is the number of the puzzle, so it made me assume that there was just something I wasn't clicking about it. But your explanation of it was super helpful. I'm gonna probably try it because it is kind of up my alley as a former, as the meme says, a former gifted kid. That's right up our alley, that type of stuff. But yeah, it does seem fun now that I get it, and now that it's not going to, it's probably going to frustrate me in different ways now, but at least I have a chance of actually getting it.
Yeah, it's a shared frustration. And like I think what I found is like it is like difficult and it makes you think, but it's not like so difficult. Like I've never not gotten one since I've started playing it. I've been playing it for like a week and a half. Because like you get 6 tries, and there's 5 letters each, and 6 tries and 5 letters is more letters than there are in the alphabet, and it like eliminates letters from the alphabet as you go. So like you're gonna be able to get it by the 6th try most of the time. So there is usually the satisfaction in like having gotten it.
So is this guy's wife not very smart, or what's the deal? Why did he make it so easy?
I think it was just like a nice round number, I
No,
guess.
yes, it's nice. It's all
And like
it's all
some
real
of them are
nice.
harder than others.
Mm. And that's just random by the day, what the
Yeah, like
difficulty happens to be.
they pick it from like a database of like random 5-letter words. So today's was actually very hard. And I got it in, I think, 4 tries. I don't mean to brag or anything. But some words are definitely harder than others. Like some of them will have like an X in it, and you're like, where the heck does an X fit in this word? And some of them are like pants.
Pants.
You mentioned that it was I can't remember what game you said it was similar to in your article, but the game that it made me think of after reading your explanation, and I can't remember the name of it, but help me out if you guys remember. There was that you have those little colored like pegs on a, and you'd have like 4 or 5 of them or something like that in a row, and one person would guess the color order of the pegs in one like 5-row line, and then the other person would tell them how much of it they got correct. And so then that person would say, okay, so like 2 of your pegs are in the right spot and they're the right color, but one of the pegs is the right color, but you have it in the wrong spot.
Is it
Do you
called
guys remember that?
Mastermind?
Mastermind, yeah, that's the game.
I think I played that. I also have a phone app version of that game where a
that
robot
is what this reminds me of.
order.
That would be fun. But anyway,
Yeah, it is.
That is this.
Definitely like borrows inspiration from a bunch of other games.
That's every good game.
You know, I like it. I just think it's fun. I think it's cool. The thing that I like about it a lot is just like getting to like post your results on Twitter, and like you'll post your result on Twitter, and then one of my friends who also plays Wordle will like shoot me a DM or a text that's just like, oh my god, you got it in 4? I didn't get it at all. Or be like, you got it in 6, I got it in 2. Or we'll talk about like how the word was crazy hard, or, you know, whether we cheated. And I just like that sort of element of like just that tiny little connection, that sort of knowing what everyone's talking about. So I guess I just wanted to ask you guys what I guess makes like shared experiences like that so like enticing, and maybe even like a little bit like addicting, and just like it pulls you in, I guess.
I've noticed like a lot of trends like that, especially during, I know we don't want to talk about it, but during the pandemic, there have been a lot of like things where everyone's getting in on doing the same thing. And I think it's great. And the thing that frustrates me is when something goes out of style, and then if you're still doing it, people will like judge you. Because it's like,
Yeah,
oh, no
totally.
one's making banana bread anymore. We're not doing that. That's not the thing. But it's like, well, the point of this was to do something to bring joy and have fun. And so the idea that fun can go out of style like frustrates me. But when those things do get into style and they're fun and wholesome and nice and bring people together, it's really great. And then there's always this sense of anxiety of when it's going to become like not fun anymore or not cool anymore. Like Noodles the pug, you know?
I do know.
Bones or no bones dog. I found it like really early on and was like, oh, this is so cute. Like, I love it. And then it became something that everyone was talking about all the time, to the point where it was a little bit annoying.
That's kind of what I envy about like older people, and I don't mean necessarily like old, like middle-aged and older, is that they definitely lack, like that's totally an internet culture thing that we've grown up with, like the feeling guilty about liking something after, you know, people start making fun of it on Twitter. Like old people lack that like awareness at all. You know what I mean? They're not engaged in that, so they just kind of enjoy things forever.
Yeah, even
And it's kind of awesome.
Will like enjoy things for longer, and then whereas like everyone in Gen Z is so on the internet and so connected. I don't know. I don't think it's healthy.
Yeah, it's like this thing where like everyone, it's like the hipster thing of like I want to like it before it's cool, and then I also want to like hate it when it's not cool. Like I want to hate it before it starts being too cool.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's weird because like I really like Wordle. I think it's a fun word game. I could like see myself getting up every morning and doing the Wordle of the day like people do their morning crossword. But then like, I don't know, in 2 weeks is it going to be like cringe for me to post little squares on Twitter? Who knows?
I think 2022 is the year of embracing cringe because the part of you that cringes is the part that is like, I don't know, it's not productive.
I think we've seen that though in other places too. Like particularly when I think of like TV shows and movies, things that even like 3 or 4 years ago would have been just like completely gone under the radar and like would not have been interesting to people. I feel like a lot more of that type of just like cringe vanilla, like happy for the sake of being happy in movies and TV has gotten popular again. I don't know if I'm the only one who's observed that, but
well, like, movies that people didn't like are now coming back, like Twilight and The Amazing Spider-Man. People are embracing them for like what they are, which is like goofy, sort of romanticized movies that are kind of silly but fun. Whereas at the time they were like cringy and bad or whatever. But it was like, well, I liked The Amazing Spider-Man. I still like The Amazing Spider-Man.
You know, those weren't the cool Spider-Man movies to like. You were kind of cool if you liked the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies a little bit. But you were definitely not cool if you liked Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is a villain and I hate him. So I have like hot takes about Spider-Man.
I think the only reason that, not to get completely off the topic, even though we already are, but I think the only reason those Spider-Man got kind of unfairly just like derided was because it wasn't part of like all those other Marvel movies, and that's what people wanted. Like they wanted Spider-Man in that. I'm thinking that's why it got like unfairly hated on because people just didn't like the fact that it was separate. But like it's not really particularly worse than any other like middle of the road superhero. Like the fact the hate that it got was certainly like unwarranted, I would say.
Especially because there are so many like truly soulless superhero movies being churned out right now that people are just sort of fine with. And I'm like, that was $200 million. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like, but anyway, sorry. I kind of lost my train of thought.
No, I
think you started about Marvel movies.
But I think like you're right though. Like 2022 is the year of like, I don't even think it's like the year of like saying no to cringe because people still are like, oh my god, that's so cringe. That's still a thing that people do. Like I have a 15-year-old brother. Teenagers are still very much into calling stuff cringe. But I also think it's like the year of like not seeing sincerity as like inherently embarrassing. Like those old Spider-Man movies, part of the reason that people didn't like them is because they were quite sincere. They were very like kind to Spider-Man. They had like a big moral message. There's like that scene where like, I don't know, Spider-Man remembers to get the eggs for Aunt May and everyone's like, oh my god, that was so lame. But like looking back, that was like a really nice and sincere moment. And I think even with Wordle, like just the idea of like sincerely enjoying something, that's like maybe a little bit new for people.
Yeah. I think that like wholesomeness is definitely like the takeaway from Wordle for me. That like embracing things that are nice.
It's nice to like take off the critical lens for a minute. Like it's nice to just be like, Wordle is fun and Spider-Man was a good time and, you know, liking things and loving people is fine and sincerity is okay. It's cool to like games. And I guess sort of like speaking about like Spider-Man and stuff and things that have like become cool again. I remember being in elementary school and like Flappy Bird was the cool thing for all the cool kids to like, or like my mom still plays Candy Crush. So like, do you guys remember any of those like massive games, and like, did you have any favorites?
I didn't really play a lot of games on my phone as a kid. I didn't have a very good phone. Like, my phone was for texting my parents that I was coming home from school. But I play solitaire every day now. I've been playing it every day for like a year and a half. And so that's like one of the games. That's like such an old man game. But I played it as a kid, and then I downloaded it because I got like an ad for it on Instagram or something. And I've just been playing it ever since because it's just nice.
Yeah, I think nice games. I was really big into what was that? It was like the piano tiles game where it just got faster and faster and faster. I thought that was fun for a while. Yeah, got bored of it pretty quick, but it was still fun while I had it.
I did play that one too. It's fun.
That seems on brand for you, Holly, of someone who loves listening to absurdly fast music.
Wow. Yeah, no.
That seems right up your alley.
I think it might also be like the reason why I can type so fast now is because I played piano tiles incessantly when I was a kid.
The one, well, two I remember. I remember Flappy Bird because that was just insane it was like up for a week or something like that. Right? I remember that being like, it got taken down like really quickly. And then people were selling their phones that had, or like iPads and stuff like that had it downloaded for like thousands of dollars. I don't know why that came back to me while we were talking about this, but I remember that. And then the other one was Pokemon Go was insane when that came out. And as like not a fan of Pokemon myself, but even I had that for a little bit. Like
I never got to play Pokemon Go, even though it seemed like something that was like right up my alley. Because when it came out, I was in high school and like on my parents' phone plan, and I didn't have enough data on my phone to play Pokemon Go, and I'm still sad about that I missed out on that renaissance.
I like got into Pokemon Go in my first year of university because there's a bunch of Pokestops like around the university. And it was like great when I didn't know anyone and I was like sitting alone in dining halls because I could play Pokemon while I ate my dinner alone. And then I got a new phone, and so I stopped playing it. But it was, I think people still, like, there are some people who are still really into that one. But it's like a really tight community now.
Yeah, if you look out, like if you are looking for people, you can see them, like you'll see a group of 3 or 4 people congregated on their phone in like a random patch of grass, like out in the field, just off of like in a park or something. And
yeah, there's a park near my parents' house, and there's always people playing there. They're not always.
Even still, and it's weird. But I mean, before that was literally like everyone walking down the street had it that summer it came out. I remember that. That was crazy.
There's a bunch of British comedians who play it while they're on tour. And then they like exchange Pokemon from all the different places they've gone, which I think is funny.
I think that feels like that's like one of the ideal careers to have if you're really into Pokemon Go, is like just anybody who goes to a lot of places.
Yeah, like a game like that, because they had rare ones based on like actual literal geography. So like for most of us, it's like, well, I got all the ones in like 50-kilometer vicinity, if that, of my house and my city. But like, yeah, a job like being a stand-up seems pretty perfect for something like that, just for like a globe trotting, like collecting them all type thing.
Yeah. And then I guess another one that I just remembered is like, it's a more recent trend. And it's definitely one that people will be like, oh my god, that's cringe. I play Fortnite and I think it's very fun. I play with my little brother who's 15, who is definitely the target demographic for Fortnite. But I'll also like play on my own. And it's just like a fun little point and shoot, like battle royale style thing, and it's quick and it's fun and it's easy and it's just a little video game. And I think Fortnite is one of those games that is fun, even if people are like, oh my god, how lame.
I guess Animal Crossing is sort of like that too. Like, now, it was really, really big when it came out, and now it's like only the people who are seriously into it who still sort of talk about it. But I love Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan, but I've also been a huge fan since it was the GameCube game, which was the first one.
I love
actually,
Yeah.
I actually learned how to read and write playing that game. Not even joking. Like,
That's
kindergarten, I was kindergarten age, and like had my finger up. Well, that's also what gave me glasses, because I was right up to the TV with my finger on it, and like follow. You know how you put your finger on like below the word to like follow it along, so you can read it out. So like that was me playing Animal Crossing when I was like 3 years old.
Wow.
That's really cute. I played the GameCube one like probably at the same time as you were, ish. Like I was like 4 or 5, because my grandparents had a GameCube and Animal Crossing was one of the games that they had for it, and I just really liked it. I haven't played the new one, because I don't have a Switch and I don't really want to get a Switch. I have other game consoles that have more games that I want to play. But yeah, it's still cute and seems like a good time.
I don't have a Switch. I was playing on someone else's for a while, but now I'll just go to my friends' islands and do little makeovers for them of their like house. Because I'm really good at Animal Crossing interior design.
What a skill to have.
I love
it is very serious, Holly. If you look that up on Instagram, there are some insane interior design, like jobs that people have done on these fake houses. It's absolutely insane how crazy some of them look.
I love that though. That sounds incredible. Very fun.
Mine's probably a little more basic than that. I just like helped my friends who have no sense of where to put stuff, like be like, okay, let's make this room like a theme or whatever. But when I played on my friend's Switch, I got his house to S tier and his island to 5 stars. So that was pretty sick. I'm very proud of it.
I think that's like true friendship right there.
So this week I wrote my feature piece all about virtual reality, a little bit about where it started, where it's at right now, and then also where it seems to be going in the not so distant future, as well as some of the pros and cons of it becoming kind of more mainstream and kind of getting used more often by more people. My article touches on a lot of different things. I look at fully immersive workspaces, I look at virtual real estate, which we will definitely talk about. But be sure to check it out at our website. So with that, let's get into it. I'm curious if either of you have actually tried VR before.
I have not. I'm not really like a technology person, so it's just never something that I've come across.
Yeah, I am also not a super big technology person. I also get super motion sick really easily from video games. Like, I can't even play, like, Minecraft. It makes me nauseous. So VR, I just know that if I did anything VR, it would not be pretty for anybody in that space.
Yeah, fair enough. I am actually quite techy, but, like, haven't really come across it either. Just kind of in the wild. Like, none of my friends have ever had it. I've never, like I've thought about getting it, but it's never been really in my face to get it. But I guess it's getting pretty huge is what I learned from researching this piece. It's like selling a lot of those headsets. So someone's using it. So Holly, it definitely doesn't interest you, obviously.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
definitely interested. I'm definitely interested to try it. But Asenia, what about you? Is there any like intrigue to it?
I think if one of my friends was like, hey, do you want to try this? I'd be like, sure, why not? But it's not one of those things that I would like go out of my way to do. And then the whole idea of like virtual reality social media seems absolutely horrifying to me. It's like straight out of a science fiction novel. Like Hank Green wrote a science fiction novel about this where the villain does that. So I was reading your feature and I was like, oh my god, like
There was,
I don't know.
it also reminded me, I think it was a science fiction short story that I read a while ago, but it was basically like, in a not too distant future where virtual reality is normal, there are these weird people who basically get motion sickness, and so they can't engage with reality, and so they all have to like read books and watch old DVDs. And I was reading your feature, and that's what I was thinking about, and I was like, oh my god, that's gonna be me, because I get motion sick. I can't be on virtual reality Facebook.
I mean, I don't even want to be on real Facebook.
That's true.
I want to go live in a cabin in the woods somewhere with no internet.
But when the rest of the world is inevitably like hooked up or whatever you want to call it, then Holly, you and Elon Musk can talk about all the world's problems together. Because
And that guy
he's not a
just
big
so
fan. He is your only ally in the tech world. How does that make you feel?
I feel so great about it. I love him so much. This is sarcasm. I have so many beefs with Elon Musk. It's not even funny. I have petty beef. I have beef related to race cars with him. I have beef related to batteries with him. And the one thing I agree with this guy about is that VR is weird and isn't the future.
At least you guys would have a lot to talk about.
That's true.
Argue about mostly, but you know.
You can officially say you have a Venn diagram with Elon Musk. Right now there's at least one confirmed point of agreement between you two. There's some common ground.
Now I just have to date Grimes, and then we can have two things to talk about.
So, as I kind of alluded to, and as the article talks about a good amount, there's a lot of people, save for Elon, but people in his orbit that are, no pun intended. I wish I did intend it. That was kind of funny. But others like him, Bill Gates being the example I kind of talk about a little bit in the article. There's a lot of thinking that this is going to become a much bigger thing than just like a gimmicky kind of video game tool or whatever, or like used in the kind of the practical professional settings I mentioned off the top of my article. But people think it's going to become more kind of embedded and more mainstream. Bill Gates' example was virtual workspaces. Now, he sees a future not too far off where, you have your meetings being done in this space. So I'm just curious if either of you see that as kind of possible or, at all likely or anything in between.
I think it's an insane proposal. I don't think that it, at least in the near future, I can't see it happening, because, for that to happen, first, a whole bunch of people have to have those, headset things, and that's not a thing that a lot of people have unless they're, super into, niche and intense video games. So, one, not everyone has that headset thing, and they're, still pretty expensive. I know that you can get, the cheaper ones, the, Google Cardboard thing, or, that kind of stuff, but it's still, it's a chunk of change, and, to have people do that just to, hop onto, a VR Zoom meeting just feels weird, and, it's too much. It doesn't need to happen. So I can't see them wanting to do that unless something were to dramatically change.
Yeah, I could see that happening much farther down the road. But what this made me think of was I went to a conference in the summer about the future of digital theater, and I looked at a demonstration of VR theater production, and that actually seems like that is not too far away. Like there's a company that's working on an opera that you interact with in VR. So it's sort of like a video game, except the actors are in motion capture suits performing live, which is weird, but I do see like VR becoming incorporated into the virtual theater workspace, because I have seen that that is something that people are working on.
That would be really interesting and also hilarious to see the time when it inevitably, one guy's arm is just like glitching out and like, going in circles or something. Like inevitably something would go wrong and it would just be funny in like the middle of a very serious, like a very serious play, and then some guy's legs are just like behind his head or something, just like glitching in and out. But I just looked up VR headsets, and there's some that are expensive, but pretty much all of them are like already sub $200, which I get is still a lot of money. But like, there's one here that's $17. Like you mentioned, the cardboard ones. I mean, they technically do most of the have most of the same functionality, so long as like you have like it's usually using like a phone, for example. So long as you have a really powerful phone, I think talking about like the attachment rate, like you mentioned, Holly, like the number of people that have one or are willing to get one. I kind of see it in the same way as I thought about like those home assistants. Like I didn't understand that at all, and I still don't. Like I don't have one or have any desire to get one. But like at first, I really did not understand them. Like people have speakers, their phones have those virtual assistants already built in. It's like, what is the market here? I didn't really understand them. But then they start for years, like Amazon's been basically giving them away for free, right? Like it's pretty easy to get them. You spend like $50 at a store like Best Buy or even like Walmart sometimes, and they're like, you spend this much at this time of the year, and I'll throw in a free like whatever one of those brands of those. So it's like if the price is already this low, I can see VR in the same vein as I see those. Like I can see the attachment just kind of. It doesn't seem that far off to me that they could be in more households than like we see now, and it could happen pretty quickly. But I'm curious what you guys think of that.
For me, the thing is, I just don't understand the point of doing like a VR office, because it feels like just a worse version of like working from home and then doing your meetings either over the phone or on Zoom. Like I know a lot of people who work from home, and like you can't really do any physical work on a project over VR, so it would just be like a really immersive Zoom call. And so even if the technology were available, like I don't see how it would actually help people get stuff done, I guess. But maybe that's just me, because I haven't done VR and I don't know a lot about it. It just doesn't seem practical. It seems like something that someone like Bill Gates, who doesn't actually have like an office job, would be like, oh, this is totally going to happen. And it's like, yeah, when's the last time you worked in an office, Bill? You know?
Yeah. Like, and people are like, and it'll like, I don't know, because like people are talking about it in, I guess, relation to like isolation and like the pandemic, and they're like, yeah, and like it'll make it so that like people can like fulfill their social needs and stuff. And I can't see VR doing a better job than like a phone call or a Zoom call to make me feel like I'm socializing. Like seeing someone's little avatar isn't gonna make me like feel like I'm interfacing with them any more than like I would if I was visiting someone's house in Animal Crossing and I saw their character, or than I am right now on like a Teams call with you guys. Yeah, I can't see it being that useful.
The couple of research papers I saw while researching this article honestly did speak to the contrary on that. Like they did actually say that people reported feeling more connected. I can't say I've never tried VR, and I only did I didn't do this come into this article as like someone who is a fan with like my own kind of built-in bias for that, but that is something I did see like a lot of in researching when I was trying to look up like mental health effects and health effects, and it consistently was telling me all these positive things, which just kind of surprised me. But I think as a replacement for those forms, it might be better. Maybe, I don't know. I've never tried it, but I guess I'll defer to the research on it. Sure, it does, I guess, but I think the issue is like that the line between replacing calls like this, like that we're doing, or like a video call or whatever, replacing those versus like eating into actual the time you would spend actually interacting with people in person. And I feel like it's easy for it to like bleed into that. I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think like one thing that like I guess sort of like dislike about the idea of having like VR, like social medias and like workspaces is like, I guess it like gives people the ability, and like not just people, but also like institutions and like corporations and like your bosses and that kind of stuff, just like the ability to like neglect real life. Like, who needs a real office space if we have a virtual office space? Why would we pay for that? And like that kind of thing. I don't enjoy that. It feels very it feels very kind of like the criticism that people have with like Elon Musk trying to go to Mars when there are like wildfires on Earth. Like, why do you want to hang out in a virtual office when you have a real office? And like, why do we want to expand the virtual world when there are a lot of like problems and stuff to solve in the real one? I don't know. That's kind of what it boils down for me with my like, I have a distaste for it that certainly has to do with the fact that I will get motion sick, but definitely also has to do with just the way it feels. It kind of feels icky.
The reason, Holly, that you would want a virtual office instead of a real one is because the price of virtual real estate is only going up. Which brings me to my last point. My favorite part of my article was the middle, where I just kind of completely veered off from what I was talking about and talked about virtual real estate, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life. And it was really fun to look more into that. So I'm just curious, both of your thoughts on virtual real estate.
I mean, I play The Sims. I like The Sims. I have a lot on The Sims. It's fun to build in The Sims. It's not real life, though, and I'm not spending real money on it, which I think is an insane proposition.
Yeah, I think everything about like modern reality is just a little bit too virtual and a little bit too digitized, because it's like ultimately what we're doing on our computers, it's not what human beings evolved to be doing. It's not healthy, and we do it because it's useful for various tasks, but I don't think it's any way to live. And then also like the virtual real estate is the same sort of idea from the Hank Green novel I was talking about earlier, where I was like, oh, this is fantasy, like science fiction, speculative fiction villain behavior. This is not good for the world.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite novels. I have the second one on my bookshelf that I haven't started reading yet and still need to. But anyway, yeah, it just doesn't feel like a way to live. Like, I do a lot of my work on my laptop. I am on my computer a lot of the time. But like when I like look around my bedroom, my laptop is like, it takes up a teeny tiny corner of it, and it's not my entire life. And I certainly wouldn't want to like have to, I don't know, log on to something or put on a VR headset to like hang out on my virtual beach. And then there's like the thing of like, if you're buying virtual real estate, what about like real life real estate? Like, it's not an alternative. You still have to have somewhere to live and like eat and sleep and like presumably keep your VR headset and like pay for Wi-Fi. So like, I guess what's the point?
The point is living next to virtual Snoop Dogg for $500,000, obviously.
Well, why would Snoop Dogg even go on the VR if he just has to hang out with some rich guy who bought virtual land beside him? Like, Snoop Dogg probably bought that land, but he's not gonna go on there to hang out with some stranger.
Yeah, he might go on for like, I don't know, like an hour at the beginning just to be like, I'm Snoop Dogg, what's up with this thing? But like
nice
other than that.
Boring, goodbye.
Yeah, because he's Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg doesn't want to
real reality is cool.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, my guess, and this is not confirmed. I don't actually know this, but my guess is that Snoop Dogg or a representative of his bought up a lot of virtual real estate and is selling off parcels of it to, unsuspecting, insane people who have $500,000 to waste to say that they live next to him in a virtual world. That is my best guess at that situation.
It reminded me of back in like the 2010s, you could pay to play Minecraft with Hank Green and like get a plot of Minecraft land on Hank Green's server. And I'm sure other celebrities did this, but that's just like the only one that I knew about at the time. And it just made me think of that, where it's like, I guess I get it for Minecraft because you get to play a game with someone, but I don't really know what people do on virtual reality land real estate. That's all.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's like, because it's not a game. It's just like your little avatar walking around and doing stuff. And I don't know. You could play like virtual catch or kick around a virtual ball. I don't know what it is. I guess, like, to me, it all feels very much like the virtual reality stuff and the buying of, like, virtual real estate, and even, like, to an extent, like, Hatham's written a couple articles about, like, NFTs and, like, that kind of stuff. It all feels very much like, you know how, like, those commercials that are like, what's the Christmas present you get for the person who has everything? Buy them a star, or, like, buy them a plot of land, and they'll technically become a lord. It feels very much like that to me. It's like you have a piece of paper that says that you own a star, but you can't go to the star, and also you have no proof that they didn't sell that star to someone else, and also who gave them authority to sell that star, and also if this company goes under and their list of who owns what star goes away, then nobody owns the stars anymore. It feels like that, where it's just like throwing money at kind of nothing.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like that. Like, the idea of owning something is something people are like obsessed with when you can't, I don't know, fulfill yourself buying material stuff that doesn't really matter either. Consumerism.
And like I'm not necessarily against like dropping crazy amounts of money if you have it on stuff. But like, I don't know, couldn't that $500,000 be spent going to an insane amount of Snoop Dogg concerts? You could spend $500,000 probably to meet Snoop Dogg in some capacity.
In the real world.
Yeah, I don't know. You could probably get like a pretty nice house somewhere around where near Snoop Dogg lives. Presumably if you have $500,000, you've got quite a bit of money. You could do a lot, just I think cooler, more useful stuff.
Donate it to charity. Like, make the world a better place. The real world, not the virtual one. Have you guys heard about, there was an auction where they were selling like a really old copy of Dune.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and like some NFT guys bid on it because they thought it was the rights to Dune, but it was just like a really antique copy of the book, because the older copies of Dune, they are worth like a lot of money and people really like them, because the new edition is really cumbersome and awkward because the font is too big. I have thoughts about this. But anyway, I thought that was hilarious because it's like people obsessed with owning stuff, and so they ended up buying something that, like, it is a collector's item, it has like value to people, but it is one of those things where it's like we decide it has value because it is one of a kind or whatever. It's not the rights to Dune. You can't actually like use it to make a Dune animated series, which is what they wanted to do.
Yeah, it's just like a very like strange obsession with just like ownership of stuff, and it's like I want to own all of these things, and it's like, do you need to own the internet?
Yeah, and I think it's because, you know, with consumerism, we grow up with this idea of like, if you have stuff, your life will have meaning, and you are what you own. But obviously, that is not a good way to live.
Especially when like the stuff that you own now, I don't know, if you spill like tea on your VR headset, where'd your island go?
Any thoughts on that, Noah?
Yeah, when are you going to start investing in virtual reality real estate?
If you could buy an island next to anyone in virtual reality, who would it be?
But only virtual, not a real island.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. That's hard. I don't like anyone who's like, I definitely don't celebrity worship in that way, but I don't like anyone that's on it enough to like be a part of that. You know what I mean? Like, most of the people I admire, I guess, as celebrities are like quite a bit older, and I just know that they would never be into that or like a part of that. It just would not work.
I feel like ABBA would. Because
They're going on tour with VR people or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm good. I'll invest in a secluded virtual island to be by myself. And that does it for another lighter episode of the latest. Thanks, Holly and Asenia, for joining me to talk about these fun articles today. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate it. Remember that you can find the full articles we talked about today and many, many more by going to our website, www.brockpress.com. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn at The Brock Press. On top of following us on social media, be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public. Just be sure to look up the latest The Brock Press podcast and you should find us with no issues. You can also find the podcast on our YouTube channel and on our website. With all this said, thanks again, and we will see you next time for another episode.